William Arthur Philip Louis. Wilt thou have this woman to thy wedded wife, to live together according to God's law in the holy estate of matrimony? Wilt thou love her, comfort her, honour and keep her, in sickness and in health, and forsaking all other keep thee only unto her, so long as ye both shall live?
For more than a decade, she was the most photographed woman on the planet. Every smile, every step, and even a simple wave was enough to capture the front page of every newspaper. Then, in January 2024, Catherine, the Princess of Wales, suddenly disappeared. There were no new images, no public events. Kensington Palace issued only a brief statement about a planned abdominal surgery. But as the silent weeks turned into months, the public's patience began to wear thin. The internet erupted in an unprecedented fever. The hashtag Where is Kate flooded every platform. When a Mother's Day photograph was retracted by the world's largest news agencies over suspicions of manipulation, public trust officially broke. The world began to ask haunting questions. Where was the princess, really? Was the perfect royal marriage secretly falling apart? Or worse, was she still alive? The noise seemed to never touch the real Catherine. Behind the image of a dignified Princess of Wales was a family background and a past that many had perhaps forgotten. Let us return to where her story began. The Bucklebury girl not raised to be a princess. Catherine Elizabeth Middleton was born on January 9, 1982, in Reading, Berkshire. Her father, Michael Middleton, was a pilot for British Airways. Her mother, Carol, had been a flight attendant. In 1987, they founded Party Pieces, a company specializing in children's birthday party supplies. The family moved to the village of Bucklebury, Berkshire, where Catherine grew up with her younger sister Pippa and brother James. Her childhood was woven from simple threads, from the mud-caked rubber boots in the garden to the scent of homemade bread baked with her mother, and the spirited energy on the hockey field. In those years, Catherine was the picture of normalcy, a girl far removed from the glare of any spotlight. At 13, Catherine enrolled at the boarding school Marlborough College. Classmates remembered her as a calm, high-achieving student who kept a low profile. Far from the noise of casual dating and the social whirl, Catherine maintained a dignified distance, preferring the stability of her own private world. In 2001, Catherine enrolled at the University of St. Andrews in Scotland. She chose to study art history. That same year, Prince William also enrolled in the same department. They lived in the same dormitory, St. Salvator's Hall, during their first year. They became friends before they became a couple. They ate breakfast together and studied together. In 2002, they moved into a shared apartment with 2 other students. Their relationship became public in 2004. From that moment, Catherine was no longer an ordinary student. The paparazzi followed her to class. They photographed her buying milk. They photographed her at the gym. In 2007, William and Catherine briefly broke up. During this period, the British press dubbed her Waity Katie. They criticized her for waiting so long without a formal title. They criticized the Middleton family for being overly ambitious. Catherine did not respond. She gave no interviews. She did not fight back. That silence was not weakness. It was a strategy. She had already learned to control what she said before she ever stepped foot inside a palace. In November 2010, William proposed to Catherine in Kenya. He used the sapphire engagement ring that had belonged to his mother, Princess Diana. Catherine accepted. The day she became a princess. On April 29, 2011, Catherine walked into Westminster Abbey. She wore a wedding dress designed by Sarah Burton for Alexander McQueen. 2 billion people around the world watched the wedding live on television. After the ceremony, she became Catherine, Duchess of Cambridge. She was no longer Kate Middleton. She became the property of the United Kingdom. Her schedule began immediately. Royal tours, official ceremonies, public appearances. Every gesture she made was analyzed. Every dress she wore was priced. Every smile was printed on a front page. In December 2012, the palace announced that Catherine was pregnant. She was hospitalized with hyperemesis gravidarum, a severe form of morning sickness that causes uncontrollable vomiting. She became dehydrated, lost weight, and required intravenous fluids. On July 22, 2013, Prince George was born. Catherine appeared before the cameras outside St. Mary's Hospital just one day after giving birth. She wore a polka-dot dress. She smiled. She waved to the thousands of people gathered. Behind the camera lens, she was still in pain and weak. In 2015, Princess Charlotte was born. Catherine again suffered from hyperemesis during this pregnancy. In 2018, Prince Louis was born. For a third time, she endured the same condition. 3 public pregnancies, 3 picture-perfect post-birth appearances for the cameras. Between 2018 and 2022, the British monarchy faced one crisis after another. Prince Andrew was embroiled in the Jeffrey Epstein scandal. In 2020, Harry and Meghan left the family and moved to the United States. They gave an interview to Oprah Winfrey in 2021 and released a Netflix documentary in 2022. In September 2022, Queen Elizabeth II passed away. King Charles III ascended the throne. William became the Prince of Wales, and Catherine became the Princess of Wales. Through every storm, Catherine's role remained unchanged. She showed up, she smiled, she fulfilled her duty. The British press called her the new pillar of the monarchy. She was seen as the royal family's greatest asset during a decade of crisis. But no one asked what she was enduring. When the body sends a signal. In late 2023, royal photographers began to notice small changes. Catherine was thinner. Her face looked tired. She still appeared at her scheduled events, but she smiled less. In November 2023, she attended the Remembrance Sunday service. In December, she hosted her annual Christmas Carol concert at Westminster Abbey, an event she had initiated in 2021. After Christmas, she disappeared from the public schedule. Catherine had been trained for over a decade to ignore her personal needs. Minor illness was not a reason to cancel. Fatigue was not a reason to be absent. Duty always came first. But this time was different. She had begun to feel that something was not right in her abdomen. She saw a doctor who recommended surgery. On January 17, 2024, Kensington Palace released a statement. The Princess of Wales had undergone a planned abdominal surgery at the London clinic. The surgery was successful. She would remain in the hospital for 10 to 14 days. The statement added that the surgery was not cancer-related. This was based on the information doctors had at the time. The palace also said Catherine would not return to public duties until after Easter, at the end of March. The story should have ended there. A brief medical announcement, a period of rest, a normal return. But the post-operative test results delivered something no one had predicted: the planned surgery and the unforeseen result. When the surgeons performed the operation, they took tissue samples for routine testing. A few days later, the results came back. They had found cancer cells. It was a conclusion that was outside all expectations of the medical team, and it was a powerful blow to Catherine herself. On January 29th, she was discharged from the hospital and returned to Windsor to recover. Meanwhile, doctors were analyzing the tissue samples and planning her treatment. For the next few weeks, Catherine and William waited for the detailed results: the type of cancer, the stage, the treatment plan, the prognosis. William was by her side constantly. He canceled several public commitments. He did not attend the memorial service for King Constantine of Greece on February 27th, an event he had previously agreed to attend. The palace cited only a personal matter. The couple had to speak to their 3 children: 10-year-old George, 8-year-old Charlotte, and 5-year-old Louis. Catherine later recalled that finding a way to explain it to her children was the hardest part. She did not want to lie to them, but she also did not want to frighten them. She and William chose to be honest. They told the children that their mother was ill. They explained that she would be getting treatment. They answered every question. Her children's response gave her strength. She would later describe it as raw courage in her video message. Her greatest fear was not death. It was being absent from her children's lives, not seeing George graduate, not watching Charlotte grow up, not reading bedtime stories to Louis. For the first time in 13 years as a royal, Catherine could not play the part of a princess. She was just a frightened mother. While her family was processing this trauma in Windsor, the outside world knew nothing. And the palace's silence was about to create another crisis. The palace's silence and the social media storm. By mid-February 2024, Catherine had not been seen in public for over a month. The palace offered no updates. There were no new photos. There was no news at all. On the internet, curiosity turned to suspicion. TikTok users began posting analytical videos. They questioned why Catherine had been missing for so long. They compared previous royal health announcements, pointing out that the statements about King Charles, who was also undergoing cancer treatment, were far more transparent. The hashtag #WhereIsKate went viral. X, Reddit, and TikTok were filled with conspiracy theories. Some claimed she was in a coma. Others said William was having an affair with Rose Hanbury, a family friend. Some theorized Catherine had separated from him and was in Switzerland. Some said she was dead. The palace did not respond. On March 4, 2024, paparazzi captured a grainy photo of Catherine in her mother's car, leaving Windsor. TMZ published the picture. The palace remained silent. On March 10th, for Mother's Day in the UK, Kensington Palace released an official photograph. It showed Catherine sitting among her 3 smiling children. The caption stated that William had taken the picture. Within hours, the world's largest news agencies spotted a problem. The Associated Press issued the first kill notice, retracting the photo from its system because it showed signs of manipulation. Reuters followed, then AFP, Getty Images, and PA Media. It was an unprecedented move. No major news agency had ever issued a kill notice for an official photo from the British royal family. Internet users zoomed in on the image and found more than a dozen inconsistencies. Charlotte's sleeve did not align. Catherine's zipper was misplaced. Louis's hair had a strange blur. On March 11th, Catherine posted an apology on X. She wrote that, like many amateur photographers, she occasionally experimented with editing. She apologized for any confusion. The apology did not extinguish the firestorm. It made it bigger. Now the public was not just asking where she was. They were asking why the palace had to use a manipulated photo. They were asking if Catherine was even alive. The pressure on the royal family reached a level not seen since the death of Princess Diana in 1997. Catherine and William had to make a decision. Continue in silence and let the monarchy's credibility collapse, or tell the truth. On March 22, 2024, Catherine chose to speak. She and William sat with a small team in Windsor. She wrote the words herself. She did not use a spokesperson. She did not film in a press room. The video was shot in a garden in Windsor. She sat on a wooden bench, wearing a striped sweater, and looked directly into the camera. She explained that her January surgery was initially thought to be non-cancerous, but that post-operative tests had found cancer cells. She was now undergoing preventative chemotherapy. She said that she and William had taken time to explain everything to George, Charlotte, and Louis in a way that was appropriate for their ages. "We are all doing well," she said. She thanked the public for their support and asked for privacy during her treatment. The video was 2 minutes long. At the end, she did not smile. Within an hour, the video had been viewed more than 100 million times. The global reaction reversed instantly. The conspiracy theories fell silent. The people who had posted mocking videos began deleting their content. The memes stopped. The story was no longer a royal mystery. It was the story of a young mother with cancer. The unseen days. After the March video, Catherine disappeared from public view once more. This time, there were no conspiracy theories. There was respect. She had started chemotherapy in late February. The treatment continued through the spring and summer of 2024. The chemotherapy exhausted her. She experienced partial hair loss. She suffered from nausea. She had days when she could not get out of bed. She had days where she had to lie still for 8 hours after each infusion. But 3 people did not let her stop. George, Charlotte, and Louis still needed to go to school. They still needed dinner. They still needed bedtime stories. Catherine tried to maintain her children's routines whenever she could. She drove them to school on her good days. She attended their school performances. She was present at their weekend football matches. When she could not, William took over. He scaled back nearly his entire royal schedule for 2024, keeping only a minimum of essential duties. He spent most of his time at Adelaide Cottage in Windsor. In a later speech, William described his wife as the bravest person I have ever known. He said his family had endured the hardest year of their lives. Their marriage changed during this period. Before her illness, they were public partners. After, they became more deeply connected on a personal level. On June 15, 2024, Catherine made her first public appearance since the March video. She attended Trooping the Colour, the event marking King Charles's official birthday. She rode in a carriage with William and their 3 children. She wore a white dress and a white hat. She waved to the crowd. It was not a full return. She did not participate in the horseback parade. She only appeared on the Buckingham Palace balcony for a few minutes. The British press called it the most emotional moment in years. Thousands of people on the Mall applauded as her carriage passed. She said nothing to the press. She did not need to. A day earlier, she had posted a message on social media. She said she was not out of the woods and would only attend a few limited events over the summer. She continued chemotherapy through July and August. Not a fairy tale ending. On September 9, 2024, Catherine released a second video. This one was filmed in various locations around Norfolk, near the family's country home, Anmer Hall. The 3-minute video showed her walking with William, George, Charlotte, and Louis. They played cards, they hugged, they sat by the sea. She said she had completed her chemotherapy. She called the journey unbelievably difficult for the whole family. She said she was now focused on staying healthy. She did not declare that she was cured. She said she would not be fully out of the woods for a long time. By the autumn of 2024, she began a gradual return to her royal schedule. She attended the Remembrance Sunday service in November. She hosted her Christmas carol concert at Westminster Abbey in December. In January 2025, after an appointment at the Royal Marsden Hospital, Catherine announced that she was in remission. The cancer was no longer active in her body. She visited the Royal Marsden as a patient to thank the doctors. It was a deliberate decision. She wanted to publicly acknowledge the role of the healthcare system and the people who had treated her. She did not return to the person she was before. She could not. Before her cancer, her public image was built around perfection. Her hair was always neat. Her outfits were always impeccable. Her smile was always at the right angle. After her cancer, she no longer tried to hide the changes. She appeared with different hair. She allowed herself to look tired when she was tired. She did not appear at events she did not have to. In later speeches, she spoke about the importance of family time. She spoke about mental health. She spoke about the importance of listening to one's body. The story of Catherine did not follow a fairy tale template. She was not a commoner who was transformed into a princess. She was a woman who had spent 13 years learning to hide herself to serve an institution. When cancer arrived, she could no longer hide. The moment she looked into the camera on March 22, 2024, and said the word cancer, she changed something in how the British monarchy was seen. For centuries, royalty was a symbol of distance. They did not get sick. They were not afraid. They did not speak about their private lives. Catherine broke that rule. Not with rebellion, but with truth. Millions of people fighting cancer around the world wrote to her. Cancer charities reported a surge in inquiries in 2024. The Royal Marsden and Macmillan Cancer Support both noted the effect of her March video. She did not just talk about her illness. She gave others the language and permission to talk about theirs. The story is not over. Catherine still requires regular medical checks. She is still adjusting her schedule. William still acts as her protector. But she has changed forever. and the way the public sees her has changed forever. She is no longer a symbol of perfection. She is a symbol of something else, of a person who stood before the world and said, "This is hard, and I am still here." It was not the end of a fairy tale. It was the beginning of a real story,